Hello, making another putty video with a different putty. This one is very nice, very soft and squishy. Makes nice sounds. I don't even know where the microphone is, but I don't know. It's up there, or up here, or up there, or up here. I don't know. But it doesn't matter. Want to talk about psychology as I always do. I observe things on the internet and I see that there are a lot of people that like to go to war, that like violence, that like conflict, and they told other people in interviews, they told different people, they told their friends, they talked about it in videos, and they told me directly. A lot of them like violence, a lot of men in particular. They said they love the conflict, and I noticed that a lot of people, they like to hold on to the idea that they have been victimized, and talking about many different demographics, not aimed at one specific one. But obviously this is a human problem. People holding on to their storyline, from the past, and storyline that they have been made to believe by other people also. We, as children, we buy into our parents' storylines of neurosis. We just buy into it because we don't know better. When we're children, how can we prove that they're wrong? We don't even get the idea that our parents could be wrong with anything, and so they pass on from one generation to the next. They pass on storylines of we are the victims and they are the perpetrators. And there are slight variations between the demographics in who the perpetrator is, who the victim is, how the perpetrator looks, how the victim looks, how the perpetrator's tradition is, how their own tradition is, and what exactly, what are the details of the storyline. One hunts the other because they feel like they're going to war with a nation, and there are certain people of that nation already in their country, so they round them up into detention camps so that to prevent those people that are in their own country from rising up against them for going against their home nation. This has all happened in this country. Those kind of things, the ruling, governing institutions with their corrupt people in it. As Rockefeller said, every man has his price. Almost every person has their price. I will correct that slightly. Not every man, some women too, and not every human, of course. So there are a few very conscientious people in this world. But a lot of people have their price tag. I talked about this many times. And I think that's something we need to inspect. We need to look at it a little bit closer. Particularly those that are running institutions, they should have enough of a mental capacity to understand this, to understand that they need to do some introspection on their own greed and find out why they're so greedy. So that's obviously genetic, but it is always a combination between childhood pain, the storyline of their parents, which is a trauma in itself, the storyline that goes like there are people that, I know my husband has told me, because his mother used to work for some people as a babysitter and housekeeper in Beverly Hills, and that family constantly said to their children, you need to outsmart the Gentile. So always outsmart the Gentile. You need to outsmart the Gentile. Okay, right there is so much wrong with that statement. I don't even know where to start. I mean, this is like, that's a war type of mind state. That's a never-ending hatred from one generation to the next. And Gentile, like, we gotta look at this word a little bit closer in the dictionary. So after this video, I'm gonna research that. Gentile obviously has to do with the word genes, genetics, the other. Gentile is the other. The others. The others outside of our own ethnic culture group or whatever. And that's happening with all demographics. That's happening. Take a closer look, It may not be so obvious in some, but it is more covert, but it's happening. This is so overwhelming and complex. I could talk about these kind of subjects without end for like 10 hours straight every day. Just make a 10-hour video every day talking about this. But I have other things to do in my life too. So I have to condense that down as much as I possibly can. But all of these things should teach us in a negative teaching way, It's a negative reinforcement. It's a learn by other people's mistakes. Okay, so that's my message to everyone. And greed, that happens when there's childhood pain. Then they basically flee into greed, It's an escape route. It's a genetic escape route. It's an ability, if you want to call it that. It's not a. It's not. I don't call it an ability. Greed, but it's used as an ability to get away from childhood pain. Let's accumulate more and more and more. Then they outsmart the Gentile. They outsmart everyone else. My husband's friend who was running a business, he was running a bar in LA. He heard people talk like this sitting at the bar constantly. That's the only thing they were talking about, was how to outsmart other people and how to out trick other people. That's the only thing that they had on their minds. Almost funny. It's almost comical. That's the only thing that they are thinking about, and they get a kick out of it. It's almost like a video game. It's like succeeding. And this whole thing is completely disconnected from the outside world, from the others, from the Gentiles. Whether it is, I'm not even going to mention any demographics, names, because then people will take offense and say, oh, but that doesn't apply to everyone. Of course it doesn't apply to everyone. There are always many people that are not applying to that. But it applies to maybe of each demographic to the majority. That's why this is being discussed at all in terms of particular individual demographics. So that's why, that's also where very immature jokes come from, by the way. Immature jokes that are fascist, that are racist, that are just rude towards a specific nation, and so on. That comes. Joking and sarcasm is another form of escape mechanism. It's another very dishonest form of escape mechanism. These are all escape routes. Going to war is an escape route. Lashing out with violence is an escape route. All these non-functioning pathways are escape mechanisms to escape from that's what's actually underneath. Hurt, feeling victimized, feeling their egos bruised, or feel a storyline from their parents and grandparents, or political unhappiness. Some people feel unfree. Instead of discussing it directly and saying, this is how I feel, one person will go into shopping, the other person will go into greed, the other person will go work at the bank and just deal with numbers and just deal with income, and that's everything else kind of like goes backstage, is pushed aside, pushed onto the back. And that's disconnect all of this, So all of these pathways are escape mechanisms from that, what's really there, the pain that we should sit with in meditation instead of lashing out or becoming greedy or feeling victimized or whatever people are using. Always, running away. They're always running away with fakenesses and other things other than that's what's really going on. And that's very sad, and that needs to end. We need to go into meditation. We have no other pathway. There's only one path, and that is the path within your own mind. Okay, you guys take care. Bye bye.